Hey guys, how's it going? This is Dave Sebastian, coordinator of mentoring arts programming with Wayside Youth and Family. I am with you today on YouTube live streaming instead of Facebook. I'm excited to be here. Some reason I had some problem getting it going, but now we're in good shape. So today we're going to talk about ink tents. Ink Tents is a really great product put out by Derwent. That's a company out of England. They're in Cumberland, England, where they've been for something like 200 years. Really kind of amazing stuff. And this is a totally brand new like art supply or a brand new artistic medium. There's a number of colored pencils out there that are amazing. Caradosh is probably my favorite one. And then there's a million great watercolor colored pencils. And I feel like Derwent actually makes the best of those that I've had. Both of those are great, but watercolor, which is what you get when you put water with colored pencils, is great if that's what you're looking for. You know, if you're looking for a soft, muted color, color effect, like, sunsets and oceans and beaches and stuff, it works so well for that kind of stuff. My stuff, which is a little bit on the weird side, like this right here, then this, it just doesn't lend itself to watercolor. So I was looking around, like I use a lot of acrylic and stuff, and it's great, but it's a little, you need some gear around you to do it. So it's somewhat limiting in the field. Guys are boring me already. I've been on for almost 2 minutes. Oh, in any case. So I was kind of looking around for something that was a little bit more, easy to use and quick to use, and was a little more powerful than watercolor. I do all of my work is high color because I'm pretty colorblind. So if you don't use really punchy colors, it just doesn't look right. So we're going to get into this. This is a piece I did during a Zoom, I think yesterday. Went pretty good, the program. We had a nice time with them, and it was my first time working with this particular group. And what's funny is, really, in these programs, I really don't teach you how to draw. You know what I mean? Like, I usually don't have people trying to draw what I'm trying to draw. Because I go too fast, and we're just not near each other. But these guys wanted to have to kind of show them how to draw. What I'm normally trying to do is trying to inspire you guys to work on your own stuff. Kind of with the stuff that you have kind of around the house. This particular piece was about graphite, like just using graphite. This happens to be a light Bristol board, but it is Bristol. So it's a little bit heavy. It's definitely heavier than printer paper. I say this a lot, but if anybody out there is trying to decide if they should use good paper, if they're drawing on, if any of you guys are drawing on printer paper, please knock it off. Number one, you're going to lose that stuff because it's not in a book. And number two, the paper sucks. It's made to spray ink on. That isn't what we're doing. Now, if it is what you're doing, go ahead, because it does absorb ink pretty good. But as far as like any kind of work, I say this to people often. And what it is always assume your work is going to be good. You know what I mean? Anything. Sketches, like scratching, really like whatever you want. Like whatever you're working on is good. No matter what anybody says, the work's good because you created it and it's just you, right? So always work on some kind of reasonably good paper. Get a sketchbook. Man, if only I could stop yawning. Get a sketchbook, like try to, even if you don't think your drawings are that good, which I would definitely argue. My argument is usually, well, I can draw all right, so I could probably copy you. but no one can sit down and create in the way you do. This is what it comes out of in your head. Even if it's not good, it's still like the way your hand and your brain work together to create something, which makes it powerful. So I love looking at that kind of stuff. One of the greatest parts of my job. So let's take a look at this. Get in here a little bit closer, so we can, so you guys can see it a little better. So this is kind of an emotionally upset, character. I'm not sure exactly what's wrong with this guy. We're gonna figure it out. So, real quick, let me take you back out here. This is what I'm working with. This is Inktense. I guess I forgot to tell you guys the rest about Inktense, which is that Inktense is a freeze-dried ink product, so it's much, much brighter than watercolor colored pencils, and it's permanent. So when you paint something with watercolor or practically anything, even acrylic dries, it turns to plastic. You can't put water on it and reactivate it. Watercolor, on the other hand, you can have it perfectly dry, look awesome, and add your little farmhouse, and you could blot everything else out because sorry you guys, because the paint is actually never permanent. I mean, that's one of the great things about watercolor, right? Is it's completely experimental. Like, really anything can happen. Unless you got a whole bunch of people working on it for about 100 years, and next thing you know, you've kind of taken all the experimentalness out of it, and you find yourself now working with something that's very predictable. And I like using it on tattoo flash and stuff, but I'm really not into it as far as my work goes. So what we're going to work with today is this Inktense. I think I have maybe about 140 of these Inktense pencils. It seems like a lot, but to be honest with you, there's multiples of certain colors because they're colors that I use more often than not. And then there's I share these with a lot of young adults, and when they're using them, they can, anything can happen. They go through them. We go through them. So you have to just have, kind of a good amount. And then I don't know if anybody saw any of my live streams on Facebook, but I'm often saying it's better to use something up than not. You know what I mean? And try to use as much of your stuff as you can. I was saying that if you got paint marker, in one of my other streams, I actually think it's on here. That's Open Studios Paint Marker on Leather 2. I needed to have about 50 paint markers to get working with paint marker because I just had a real hard time finding what I needed and having what I wanted without having a lot. So we're going to I'm going to move away from you. And we're going to try to get some color in this guy's shirt. It's a little bit of an experiment, because I wanted to continue working on this character in dry media. But I was interested to see what Inktense would look like on top of graphite. And if we could still erase the pencil, or if it would now be sort of sealed in or stuck in this place where I've placed it now, I'm going to just do his shirt here and see if we can figure that out. Uh-oh. Sorry about that, you guys. Oh, a little too sharp there. I wanted it to be a little more like this. A little more like that. Hold on just one sec, guys. Nothing like an inconvenient necessitude to charge something. Oh, this is great. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna figure this out. I'm just not exactly sure how. Yeah, there we go. All right, you guys see that okay? Cool. Yeah, so what we were doing is trying to get some dry media in here just so so I can kind of see what happens. And then I have like possibly the world's largest eraser here. And so I wanted to see what happens if we try to erase behind the ink tents. If it takes the pencil away and leaves the ink tents, or blends it, or what it does. Try to go the same way as the ink tents here. Alright. A little more coverage over here. Nothing is worse than accidentally hitting an area too hard. See these lines here a little on the hard side. Right. But if you've ever seen any of my other videos, you know that I am super into contour shading. I think it's like the best way to give something roundness, you know. Create the illusion of rounded artwork. It's a good way to go. You know what I'm talking about. There we go. Try to bring this, get some additional lines here so it takes away a little bit from the lines over there. And we're going to kind of make a, you know, we're working on the band at the top of his shirt, you know, the collar. Just a t-shirt, you know, but we figured it'd be funny. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. Send out a message to one of my folks. All right. Can't do that, people. That's my camera. All right. So what we're going to do with this guy is we're just going to get some sheets of color in on him. You know, we're going to use this blue for his neck. And then I have my, the three skin colors that I'm going to work with are antique white, carmine pink, and Sicilian yellow. I have only used these together a couple of times, and I've only tried to make skin a couple of times. This guy's skin is pretty strange, so we're going to go ahead and put, you know, kind of, you know, do some experimenting, you know, see what I can kind of come up with. Now, these pencils are opaque, meaning that even like the ink, you know, like the watered effect, right, where they're permanent, they're also permanent going on as a dry medium, which means that you can work on top of them, like layer them, and you know, it works fine. You know, I've been accused of sounding like I'm trying to sell art supplies, but everything I use personally is stuff that I really enjoy using. You know what I mean? Like that. I think that's obvious, but maybe it isn't. You know what I mean? Like maybe sometimes artists, I suppose, are assigned tasks, you know, in studios. A lot of guys who are good at something, for example, like if you're a real good painter, there's a real good chance that they'll ask you to paint. Is that a mistake? No. You know, no. It's playing to your strengths, right? So I wanted to see what this looked like. Looks a little on the brown side, I guess. Not too bad though, I kind of like it. We're going to start more with the pink this time. This guy's got some weird stuff going on in his skin, and I'm going to use these colors to exaggerate that. You know, this yucky, bumpy skin he's got going on. I've been watching Dr. Pimple Popper lately. Don't judge me. And I'll tell you, you get a whole different perspective on the worlds of bumps watching that show. It's crazy, actually. In fact, I don't know if I'm recommending it as much as simply stating that I've been watching it. It's good though. It's funny, you know. It's some funny stuff. So we this time we put in our pink first, and now this here is our yellow. Let's see what happens if we mix those guys in. All right. I'm not necessarily avoiding this welt thing on his face. I'm just kind of I'm deciding if I want them to have their own color, or just be a part, you know, a, like slightly redder version of his skin. See, I really like what's happening right there. You know, we're getting a little bit of a strange skin color, but I like it. One of the things to watch out for is overdoing your white. You know, like this through here is really more like smudging the bottom as opposed to lightening it. So, yeah, we go back in, add a little more orange. It seems to be helping to take over. You know what I mean? There we go. This time I think I'm going to try a little white first. And a little yellow. Alright. And then a little pink. Let's see what we get here. Kind of yellow for my taste. And we should flip that and try. How about we try white? See how your white can pick up some of this other color though and scrub it around. That is something I don't notice when working with other types of colored pencil. It's really just Inktense that does that, or it does. It does it for me. You know, like I always have a hard time telling people what something does because, like, I don't know, my technique might be bad. So if I say, "Oh, Inktense, you know, doesn't do this," and then somebody's like, "I'm not using that Inktense, man. Like that doesn't do anything," which is of course not true. Hmm. I mean, this is our undercoat, but it's interesting. I'm kind of digging it. It's kind of an interesting color. I don't know which one I like more. I think the one where I started with yellow. And then, of course, some of this gray and stuff comes through, you know? And I kind of, you know, that's kind of all right. You know, like, that's kind of all right. Plus, this drawing hasn't really connected with me so much because my Zoom account, don't have a paid Zoom account. So my meetings can only be 40 minutes. So we drew this, or I drew this with a class in 40 minutes. So it's hard to get a real like emotional connection to a piece of artwork you create in 40 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Do they have fun doing it? Yeah. Is it funny? Yeah. One of my better pieces? I don't know. I'd like to think not. Though I'll tell you these days, like, or all days, my whole life, I've always enjoyed looking at my own stuff. You know, I find it to be really interesting. And that's kind of like what I was saying earlier. Is like always assume the work you're going to do is going to be awesome. You know, because if you grab a piece of cardboard and sketch something out, that drawing is going to be the best drawing you've ever done. And then it'll be junk, you know. Like, it's just ridiculous. One time I really liked a drawing, so I figured I would attach it to a board so that it would last forever instead of being on paper. And I used Spray 77 to do that. And if anyone knows what Spray 77 is, it's a serious chemical that happens to eat paper. So it destroyed that drawing real good, which was, you know, not great. But as often in troubling times. It taught me something. It taught me not to use spray 77 on artwork, but it also taught me like paying attention to detail and reading the can. I don't even know that I ever even asked anyone how to use spray 77. I just went over to the hardware store, picked it up, over in the spray glue aisle. Really dumb though. You want to be careful, because your work is important. Even if, say it's terrible or you think it's terrible, there'll be a day that you start getting better, and you want to be able to gauge that by looking back at what you did and how, like the development. I find that to be really, really great and important. Look at your old stuff. It has something in there for you. You know what I mean? So, don't throw anything away. Don't do anything on cardboard. Try to assume your stuff's going to be good. That's what I'm trying to say. Always assume it'll be good. Even if you're not into artwork and you're just doing this to do it with me, or you're just doing it as part of some kind of class, even better reason to keep it, because now it might be one of your only pieces, one of the only things that you did that was artistic. So that means that you should definitely have that, at least have some kind of place in your life. If you want, I feel like I have kids that come in and say, oh, this is awful, I hate this, not working with me, hopefully, but I mean the drawings, and I always just think the same thing, which is like, there's going to be a day, if you're into it, that you look back and this helps you appreciate the work you're doing. I just got there myself, honestly. Every artist believes while he's working that he's doing the great work of his life. I mean, that's a job, right? But honestly, looking back at what I would have considered my best work 10 years ago is nowhere near what I feel like I can do now, and that's a great part of our development as an artist, or my development as an artist. But it's also just kind of a fun kind of deal, because that's what it's supposed to be about. We're progressing, hopefully, throughout our lives, and being a part of that is really fun for me, really exciting. I would have said when I was younger that a career in art and being able to do something with my work was really a pipe dream, and now that I'm doing it, I really believe that everybody can do this work, that everybody just has to sit down really and try. If you sit down and try and it doesn't work out, at least you've lost nothing. And effort is just a small amount of effort. You can do it. But like anything, I would say I would rather try and fail than not try. You know what I mean? Like, not trying is a guarantee to fail. You know what I'm saying? So. Oh. So that's what we're up to. That's what we're going to continue doing. Trying to do this crazy, crazy guy. You know what I'm saying? All right. There we go. Okay, let's see. What else do we want to do? So there's a lot of white going on his eyes and his teeth, but we're not going to get into that just yet because that's like a last color thing. So we want to kind of keep working with these colors and keep creating his skin. I was thinking maybe we could move a little bit faster by ripping in some significant areas with one color and then trying to build directly into them with the others. I'm kind of leaving these bumps right here because I'm interested in having them stand up a little more. Like over here, this one kind of lost a little bit by me using the skin tone on it. I mean, obviously bumps are somewhere close to your skin tone because they're still you know what I mean? at least somewhat you. Know what I'm saying? All right, there we go. So now we're getting some coverage, which is important, because we don't want to spend the entire day working on this character. He's just a few minutes of today. Right? All right. So now we're getting a bunch of yellows in. A bunch of yellow skin happening. Thinking of sure, we're going to wind up adding a lot of shadowy kind of stuff in this area. But right now, we need to just add some yellow. I wonder if it's going to be easier to blend these with this larger coverage, because definitely this pencil is thinner. You know what I mean? I mean thinner coverage on the surface as opposed to being a sharper pencil. I just mean thinner on the surface. Right. Well, we got some pretty good coverage. We just gotta give his neck a little. You guys see this okay? Let's back up so you can see under his chin where I happen to be working right now. I'll push this up a little. Go back in a little bit. There we go. Yeah, we're just getting a little bit of this coverage on his neck, this yellow. A couple more things about Inktense. One thing I don't like is that they're round. When you're working with a lot of colored pencils and they start rolling off the desk one after the other, you begin really cursing Derwent and the fact they chose to have them be round. Now the solution to that is using this holder, because this holder stands up and allows you to look at your stuff. Let me get back a little. Sorry about this. There you go. So you can stand your pencil, the whole board right up in front of you, and that's a pretty powerful thing. We can see a lot of the colors and stuff, but if you don't have this thing, it is a problem. They 100% roll off the desk like all the time, all the time. Another thing that makes it kind of hard is that the pencils are slightly larger than a regular pencil. So this is a pencil sharpener, right? And let's get a little closer again. So this is a pencil sharpener. There's a big hole and a little hole. If you buy a regular one, it's only going to have the little hole for regular pencils. That doesn't work so good for Inktense. It's really, really tight. So you want to use the bigger one. Don't really want a huge point on any of these because you don't want to get a sharp mark. You really want to keep getting sort of thin, soft marks, and the best way to do that is with a sharp pencil. But you got to be careful. If you go in and push too hard with a sharp guy, you'll break it, but you'll also make lines that exaggerate things too much. Right? Trying to make sure all of his skin has this color on it so that he's consistently the same color. Right? Yellow. Like I said, this is really about a base sort of coloration. We're going to work on top of it with those other two colors. Especially to like add shadow and stuff. I feel like the graphite's doing that a little, and I like that about it. hate to cover this this chin thing right here. It's kind of cool. I gotta dig it. There you go. Yeah, in here. So this side of his face right now is just graphite, you know. So when we go over it with the yellow, gonna lose this sort of soft tone that I got going there. Ah. Just wanted to see what I could do with this guy in color and see if we could get, you know, some different effect going. I photographed this piece already, so I have the reference of it. So, you know, you can always undo that way. I work a lot in Procreate on the iPad. I really, really like this program. One of the most powerful programs I've ever used for digital art creation. I've always thought the people are developing the awesome digital art devices, the awesome digital art programs, needed to somehow figure out a way to make their stuff easier to use and more accessible to the public. They've done that with the iPad and Procreate. Like, anybody can use it, or the best pro could use it. I'm not by any means the best pro, but being able to create artwork that you could undo, or that feels, you know, traditional as far as the way you draw, is something that has been holding, you know, a lot of programs back from being more widely used. I feel like Procreate has changed everything. You know, now it's so easy to use. It works directly and natively with iPad and stuff. It's just sick. You know, it's just amazing. You know, like, I've been using Photoshop for almost 20 years and never found it to be as completely accessible as this program is. You know, this program, a 4-year-old could use it, a grandparent could use it. It's very simply designed, and it is very like art creation. You know, traditional, regular art creation. Are there crazy effects you can only do with digital? Yeah, you know, yeah. But that's kind of like, you know, what the point is. You know, like, it's being able to do this, something else, you know, that this tool right here couldn't do. All right. So there's his color. Now, I just said don't do power lines, you know, hard lines. There, on the bottom of his shirt, is an okay place to do a power line, you know. And then inside of his shirt back here, it would be dark, you know. All right. All right. How are we doing? What do you guys think? I think this guy seems a little bit on the upset side. All right. Let's get back in it. So remember, we had covered it all with our base yellow, and so now we need to use either our pink or our white. Now I want to make his lips a little bit pink, so I was thinking I would start with the pink in there and, you know, see what we can do with that. These colors are great because you can get, you know, practically a gradient out of it if you're gentle. You know, because it does have occasionally have a little bit of a crayon-y kind of look because it's waxy, but not too bad. You know, I would definitely say that one of the things I've often been heard to say is that I seriously hate crayon. I don't hate crayon, I suppose, but I hate the crayon look, that like sort of spotty mark that you get. Now, are there some brilliant people working with crayon? Yeah, there's more than brilliant people, like seriously awesome, and more power to them. You know, I've done crayon painting, which is where you heat the crayons up and use them. That's sort of a painting media or a pouring medium. I like that. These are just this guy's lips here, which are stretched to the max with this frown. Right. So now that we got this red out, or this pink, we can go in and use it to shadow some of the yellow we put in. You guys see this okay? Go back a little. Get me out of here. Right, so a little bit of shadow up under his nose. And through there. We can bring it in on. Got his lips looking pretty good. Alright. Alright. Oops. Remember, be careful you don't make, too hard of a line, because then you have to make the rest of the work live up to that line. You know what I mean? Like down here, I was able to fix it. But it's very easy to find yourself in a situation where you cannot fix it. At the end of the world, I don't know, it's your art. I support you in whatever you decide to do with it. Alright. So over here, by accidentally making too much of a hard line, we kind of established a cool effect, which is having these buboes, or whatever you want to call them, having a bit of a shadow to them, using this color to do that. That's cool. Right? Definitely getting a lot more color going in here. Now this guy's shadow seems like it would be down here because it's so big. Right? Just want to kind of bank this yellow off a little. Just give it a little bit of this pink so that it kind of blunts the yellow a little. Like up in here, this guy's got a yellow nose. You know what I mean? So, kind of bring some of this darker color in. Okay. And we're getting there. We got some of this in here. And we're going to kind of use some of it down here for more shadowing. Right. Especially up here under his jawline. Right. So still really just kind of trying to get a base coverage, like that. I think that looks really, really cool. Let's swap over to our white. Piece is moving along really, really quick. It's going really, really fine. So I'm having a good time with it. I hope you guys are okay out there. And we're going to continue working on it. So this is our white. Some of our pink, which is called carmine pink, seems to have been able to create a little bit of light here and there. So we're going to really try to work mostly in those areas to like pull up some, detail. Gotta hold this. Whoops. I got this piece of paper here to make sure that my white is clean. Just try to get a little white in here and there so that we kind of blunt this color down a little. Seems like the white is wicked interested in picking up the graphite. Not ideal, but it's all right. We'll make it work. All right. So we want to try to break up a little of this color here and there, especially in here where I feel like the light would hit it. Looks like we've ground our white right down to a nib. Don't want it to be too sharp, but you want it to be able to do the job, and the more blunt it is, I feel like the harder it is to get to, to kind of work. I used to draw in all black and white, so I had a lot of black and white media. And I still have a lot of that. In fact, I have I have white charcoal pencils, different white colored pencils, really a lot of different whites. Several of these Inktense whites, without a doubt. Let's see, I got one more here. Always try to turn the camera off before you reach for something. Or switch the camera anyway. This is a box that I've had for about 20 years. Longer, actually, like 89. So what is that, like 30 years or something like that? A million years. So what I pulled out of there is this guy, which is a Blick Studio colored pencil, not an Inktense. And this, one of the other ways that Inktense comes is in a block. These are great because you can paint off of them like a watercolor block, draw with them like a crayon, and grind them to a powder, add water, and have ink again. Really, really fun product. They're amazing. Like I've been telling you about Inktense the whole time, but that particular part of them is really, it's really cool. So this pencil, we're going to give a try to see how it looks against the Inktense. Just give it a try. I don't know. Does it show up any better? I don't think so. So for laughs, I'm going to see what happens with the Inktense block. Oh, we get a little out of that guy. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is working out. See, Inktense has a way to fix stuff. No matter what problem you got, this stuff exists to help fix it. That's why they designed it, to help me fix my mistakes as an artist. You've heard about that, right? Like, it's all over the papers. Now, one of the hard things about working with the block, right, is that it doesn't have a definite shape. It's a little on the amorphous side. But I don't know, like, I feel like that isn't necessarily as much of a detractor as I sort of thought it would be. Because square has, some kind of point to it. So through here we got a lot of pencil, not a ton of graphite. Now see there, giving me like a little spotty white coverage, like that's cool. That looks good. And it's doing what we needed to do, which is to help to pull some of the colors that we were using as our base skin tone to kind of pull together and stop being yellow and pink and being tan or whatever color white people are. Once I asked a young adult what color white people were, and he said beige. I think he's right about that. I don't want to be beige, man. No, I bet it would work good in your job because you'd match the walls a lot of times. Now, the sort of hard part of working with the blocks is that they, of course, get on your hands. What do you guys think, though? I mean, I feel like the back up just a little. So you can see the bottom here. Seems like some of that white's helping to pull some stuff together. Now the only problem is I feel like the white is, a lot of it is sitting on the surface. And we really need it not doing that. We need it blending in with these other colors. So I'm going to try a couple more things. And then I'll probably go back to the Inktense pencil. See, like everything's sitting on the surface, which is not what we need. And I mean, I suppose there's a chance of kind of blending it in. Maybe that's the key. Instead of blowing it off, we rub it in. Maybe it'll help us there. Right? That's cool. Same through here. What if we rub that in? I don't know. I kind of dig it. It's crazy stuff. So in here where we have nothing, be a good place to put this white. Though I don't think the pencil wouldn't work in here. It's basically the same product. Though I'll tell you, using them next to each other, Inktense blocks feel much, much chalkier than the pencils. The pencils definitely feel like a waxed product. So I wonder. See, look at even right here. You can see where the eraser, picked up. I mean, the Inktense scrubbed into, smudged some of the Inktense. This product right here is a Tough stick eraser. This is really cool if you're erasing really, really small stuff. Now you got to watch out when you're working with Inktense, because as you go to erase, you'll find that you often smudge the Inktense product. Now we got rid of a lot of this smudge that happened, so that's cool. But his teeth are definitely going to be gray over here. That's about as far down as I can get them to go. We can try the Inktense block a little. See what happens with that. Yeah, not that bad. It's definitely white. You can tell that. So now the question is, do his eyes need to be that same white? Or what can we do with them? And how about the bumps? You know, what color should those bumps be? I'm thinking we need some reds. You know, I'm thinking we need some kind of yucky red. Got a lot of colors here, which is sometimes a problem because having too much color is as bad as having not enough, because too much make it really difficult to make choices and to pick some harmonious colors, because there's just so many, and many of them are really, really cool. So you want to try them. One of my favorite colors is yellow oxide, or burnt yellow. This is red oxide, so I'd like to see what it looks like. And here's my little sketch pad here. Oh, it's a very dark red. So maybe we'll just give some of these guys a little red around the back. I think we're going to go with a different color up top. We'd have all of these things have some red going on. All right. Got one of his really yucky bumps over here. Even though I don't know, normally I feel like I would have put more bumps. So, I don't know. This one over here is really yucky. So we got to figure something out with that guy. Different red. This one is poppy red, which promises to be extremely bright. So what we're going to use this for is to exaggerate our spiral. Throw it in here a little bit like this. Oh. One of the biggest ones, and I missed it. All right. Looks like we got most of the bumps having a little bit of white on them. Let's see what we can get in here, if we can get any more white on his teeth. I'm not saying his teeth wouldn't be yucky. I'm just saying maybe if we can get a slightly brighter tooth impact, it tends to help to make his mouth seem a little more open. I've noticed just now, poking around, that graphite didn't work nearly as well. I mean, the white stick didn't work out as well as it seemed like it did, because all of the paint I put down, all of the ink I put down with it are powdering off. What the, you know? Wish we could have got a little bit of a brighter white. I could use paint marker, but I hesitate to have too many media mixed together at one time, because that, you know, looks a little bit on the foolish side. So since our white isn't really coming through, let's see what happens with some brighter yellow. Maybe, I wonder if these guys here, instead of white on top, how about yellow? Right? Right where that white is. Just throw this yellow in like it's pus or something. Right? There we go. It's a really weird color. There we go. Alright. So there's yucky bumps. Throw a little yellow in there. And at the top here. Alright. I'd like to get a little bit more of that red oxide in here, under here. Make it just look a little more, you know, sort of diseased. There we go. It is true the white is leaving a little bit of a residue. Not much though. Just wish there was another white I could use that would help really punch up this background. This is a charcoal pencil, which is not known for its coverage. It is a different media though, but it's still a dry medium, and it has its effect. Problems with this pencil is that it's going to leave a powdered residue on the surface, so you can see that it looks like sort of a creamy white, but that's charcoal. So sometimes we pick it up, it goes away. And that's not what we're looking for, you know what I mean? I want to color his eyes, but I don't want it to look bad. Just in case you weren't sure what I was going to say, I was thinking don't look bad. Your most basic belief as an artist. Yeah, I hope I don't screw this up. Which is a great thing of drawing for yourself, because you really can't screw it up when you're the art director. And you could just say, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm not drawing Indiana Jones. I'm drawing a fish stick. And you just do that. You know what I mean? And no one can stop you. They might try, but they're not going to be able to stop you. You know, like Rambo or something. Oh, yeah. I realized when I was doing this that I need to do his his eyelids in the yellow, red, white mixture thing. All right, he's getting there. What happens if we throw a little white in here and there? See if we can get anything going. I don't think so. I think we're going to be able to get any white out of this thing. We have screwed that up. This one seems to have a different white, so I was thinking it create some soft shadow in here. And that seems to be working. Alright, that's a little white for that dude. Alright, now we need something in the baked earth neighborhood. Maybe a little gray. Baked earth is what we're going to use for this dude's hair. And I keep moving it on you guys. I'm sorry about that. I'm using this guy's hair. Now, what's a cool thing when doing hair is using the colored pencil to render something along the lines of individual hairs. You know, this is the absolute top of contour shading because you're literally drawing its hair, you know, a few strands at a time. So you can really establish its movement, its overlap, whatever you want. That's something I really like about drawing hair, is that you can do whatever you want with it. Now we've done this brown here, which like I said is baked earth. We just need a little bit of a darker brown, so we're going to go with this guy. His name is Bark. Hold on just one second. All right, so in here we're going to mix in some of this other brown, because of course our hair is always affected by light. So even if your hair is totally brown, it's going to have a few different browns when being hit by the light. This is of course just an observation by me, but I dig it. I think it's what I'm looking for. There we go. And then we got some hair going. Skin color's a little bit strange. I'll be honest with you though, I'm really enjoying it. I find it to be really amusing. Let's see. What do we want to do next? White was just not working with us. Charcoal gray. Let's see what charcoal gray looks like. Over here off the edge is beyond the border. So you can kind of mess around there. And then I was saying I used this little piece of paper here to see what I get. And this guy is real close to black. So maybe we could try to bring in a little of this. I always feel like every time I do an eye, I do it different enough that it pretty much sucks every time. You know what I mean? Might just be me, but I doubt it. right. So now we want to get some of this gray in this area, because of course we don't want to be able to see up this guy's nose too much. Don't want to use too much of this dark color, but you can go in and add back some of the lines that we lost when we did this color, or even some, details that that we took away really while doing the coating. That's up to you. Again, the same deal about being one of the great things about art is that it's about you. You know what I mean? You can drive and create whatever you want in the concept of creating your work. Like you just do what you think is right. Like messing around with once you get into black, because it's get into darker colors is gray, right? It's good not to just go to straight black, like very few things in our world are absolutely straight black. There's definitely some car finishes that look like that. Contrived black things. It's not often that you see something that is totally jet black, which is what makes it cool, that you don't see it all the time. All right. Same thing through here. I mean, like, his bottom lip is important to the rest of the concept here, because he's kind of got a little pout thing going on. Try to exaggerate a little shadow. I feel like the shadow under his lip would be significant. I feel like the shadow under his nostrils here, which I do feel like would be mostly colored in for the shadow under them. Right. Want to kind of lay in a little bit of a background. It can't be anything like the colors that we used here, because it'll flatten everything too much. So I'm thinking of something really different, like purple, which doesn't match almost anything that we're working with. Let's take a look at what dark purple looks like. Oh yeah, it's pretty dark. Let's see how it looks back here. Does it look like his shirt? No, I think it looks different enough. Get this down a little and we'll back off. There we go. So this is going to be my my background color. Normally I'm real big on placing your character in a location, and I'm not giving up on that. Just right now I want something that helps push the character a little bit further forward so that I can get a little bit better impression of how to work on him. There we go. Alright. Same deal, just gonna keep filling in up here. Didn't go in there, but it looks like I did. Careful with this stuff, you know, because as you get in close to your drawings, to your drawing, you can really mess everything up by sliding a super dark color through your artwork. Now these pages are perforated, so right down there is the perforation line. So it doesn't make any sense to draw past the perforation line. Because if I took this out of this book, there'd be nothing left there. Though I had some old sketchbooks recently and I found my old stuff in there, which is kind of interesting. You know what I mean? Anytime you run across your own stuff, kind of interesting experience, honestly. I think he needs just a little bit more hair right here, because otherwise it looks like he doesn't have a forehead, which he of course doesn't, but I still want him to look at least a little bit like that. And we can add a little line on these guys to see, you know what I mean, like help stretch his hair out a little. That one we were just using was baked earth. The other brown we're using that was lighter was bark, or that was darker. So we here now punch out our out here. Oops. We want to use the very edge. See how that background really makes our character move into the foreground a lot more. So now we're back with our friend Charcoal Gray. So now we really want to go around and just finish up all the shadows. You know, this gray doesn't blend great with the background. I mean, it doesn't blend. Sound it out, Dave. This gray and the yellow don't necessarily work super well together. Gonna give him eyelids, but eyelids, yeah, and I just changed my mind. Don't need to be like that. All right. Need a little bit more of that carmine pink that we're working with. There we go. Carmine pink. I think down here just needs a little bit more of this color, especially in some of the protuberances. Like to just throw a little shadow in a lot of places. Like in here, we've got some real shade going on. All right. What do you guys think? We're kind of getting into a spot here. There you go. I kind of like it. I think it looks really, really strange, which is exactly what I'm going for. I'm going to keep going a little with the charcoal gray so that we can delineate his collar here. And here. Right, have it come around the back. Around over here. Don't really have to do his whole collar if you don't want to. And it's organic, so you can really kind of do whatever you want, you know? Like, chances are it wouldn't be too bad, but... So remember, this ink tense here is on top of the white. That's why we're getting a little bit of a spotty, kind of application here, as we got our white under there. Yellow's a good yucky color. Good color for yucky things. Especially this guy over here. No. Easy to forget that I have so much media that I sometimes forget. I'm like, oh, where's this color or this, marker or this brush? And then you're like, oh, hold on. That's something completely different. Alright, there we go. This guy's looking just the way I want him to look. Like I said, a little bit yucky. Whoops. When you start dropping your tools, you know you're in trouble. Can't be me. I drop my tools right when I'm starting and towards the end, and pretty much every time. Oh. Drop things and lose things. Those are two activities I'm extremely good at. I had an intern at my studio in Framingham at 68 Henry Street in Tempo Young Adult Resource Center. She was brilliant, and after our first day together, I said, what's your feedback? And she said that you should get a better organization because it seemed like I was looking for stuff all day. And I'll be honest with you, I very mostly are. I very mostly am. Just something, I don't know. It happens to me here too. I spend like literally weeks looking for things. So often, so long, in fact, I often forget what I'm looking for. I know. Here we're giving the guy a little bit of eyebrows. Just a little. So we're using the charcoal, and then we're going over it with our white. Which in this case is really working mostly like a blender. Which is kind of okay, I don't mind that. I think it looks okay. Whoops, man. Be dropping something every couple seconds. Well, not every couple seconds, but a significant amount. This is the Sicilian yellow again, which we used for the build-up here. Just wanted to give it a little bit more coverage, and then the pink that we were working on with it, just gonna try to work the yellows in, but don't have them be so strong. except on his wounds or whatever what do you call it, his friends. Hmm. Home stretch, you guys. Almost done. This probably be like almost the last thing I'll be doing. Had to make his teeth look a little yuckier, you know. Yeah. So that was pretty much where I was going to go with that, you know. So we did about an hour and a half. I had a really nice time working with you guys. I hope folks enjoyed watching this. This stream will be on YouTube for the duration. You can find it there, or I will be putting it on my Facebook page, which is Greenhouse Graphics. Excuse me. So come check it out. I will be here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I think it'll probably be 4:30 to 7 or 4:30 to 6. Sorry, 4:30 to 6. So come check it out. I will also put it up on Facebook, and I will put